A minute past the hour this morning, the state says it will fix a big blunder after one man says he was given recognition on his driver's license for doing something he didn't do.
That Albuquerque man says it's all a big mix-up by the MVD, telling News 13 the agency issued him a veteran's driver's license by accident. Now he wants the problem fixed. Roman Castillo uses a wheelchair, paralyzed from the waist down. He was shot, though, during a 2005 home invasion. Castillo says some mistake him for being a veteran, even though he did not serve in the military. Last month, he says the MVD now on Unser McMahon mistakenly issued him a license with the word veteran on it. He didn't have to provide any type of documentation to get this driver's license.
I don't want somebody taking advantage of this. Somebody could just take this to a far extreme.
It seems like it was a clerical error, but had he been requesting that, he would have needed to provide the documentation.
Castillo says 3 generations of his family served in the military, and that's why this problem weighs heavy on his heart. He says he just wants to be honest, and hopefully other people are as well. We turn now to this. A World War II veteran's remains are coming home this morning. The Santa Fe, New Mexican reports Alexander Bonnyman Jr.'s body was once declared unrecoverable. Thanks to new technology, though, a nonprofit excavated the remains on a battleground of the Pacific Theater. Bonnyman received the Medal of Honor for leading demolition teams against the Japanese. His remains are now on the way to the Santa Fe National Cemetery.
Right now, APD is looking for the driver who they say hit a pedestrian, then left her lying in the street. This as the victim remains in the hospital. Police say they found the 32-year-old woman lying on the ground on Vermont Street near Central Tuesday afternoon. She was unconscious and bleeding. Initial thoughts were that she had been shot, but police later say they found out she had serious head injuries and believe she was hit by a car. If you have any information, you're asked to call APD. The man charged with breaking into an Albuquerque woman's home and stealing her laptop is out of jail this morning. Anthony Balderrama posted $5,000 bond. He was in court on Tuesday to hear the conditions of his release. Police arrested Balderrama after the alleged victim did her own detective work. Suspects accused of breaking into Bethany Baca's home near MLK and I-25. She then used a phone app connected to her stolen laptop to ping its location. Turned out it was right next door. Baca says Balderrama was selling her stuff on Facebook.
We turn out to this morning. The woman charged in the shooting death of a Rio Rancho police officer says she is suffering too. Prosecutors say Tabitha Littles knew her boyfriend, Andrew Romero, was going to shoot Officer Greg Nigel Benner, but did nothing to warn Benner. In court yesterday, Littles' attorney claimed the shooting gave her PTSD. Her attorney says that he wants to make sure Littles is on the right medication before they move forward in this case. The judge agreed. We turn out to a developing story. Albuquerque police are looking for a missing TRC woman this morning. Police say the woman got into an argument with her son at his house near Coors and Redlands in northwest Albuquerque. They say Christine Nightingale told him she was going for a walk to cool off, but never came back. Police say she may have undiagnosed schizophrenia. Now, she is 64 years old and is 5'3" tall. She has blue eyes and weighs about 150 pounds.
Let's get right to a live look over our nation's capital this morning, where White House officials are ramping up plans to open a U.S. embassy in Cuba. Today, the U.S. and Cuba will formally begin to reestablish diplomatic relationships.
Now, in an announcement which is expected to be made today, both sides will reopen those embassies, which have been closed for more than half a century. Despite the move, some lawmakers here at home remain critical on this issue.
And developing news out of Indonesia this morning, the death toll has risen to 140 following a deadly military plane crash, which indicates a growing list of victims from the neighborhood where the plane went down. Police say the plane crashed shortly after takeoff. Rescue teams are searching the rubble, but they're holding out little hope of finding survivors.
And in a dramatic but wildly expected step, Greece formally defaulted on a $1.7 billion payment, becoming the first developed nation to fail to pay its debts to the International Monetary Fund, an organization of 188 nations that tries to keep the world economy stable. It's not expected to impact U.S. markets. That's the good news here. Most of the debt is owed to big European institutions and Eurozone, but the financial emergency has led Greece to put a cap on bank withdrawals, only allowing residents to take out $67 a day using their ATM cards. Could you imagine that? So investors say it's the most dense retail area in the state, drawing shoppers from all over the region. But you wouldn't know it by the looks of one Cottonwood shopping center.
Alameda West sits right across from the Cottonwood Mall. It still boasts an unusually high vacancy rate. One man's trying to change that. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is in the Newsplex to tell us how. Catherine?
That's right, Adam. Cottonwood only has a 3% vacancy, but this shopping center is 30% vacant. At least it was until a longtime businessman bought the center from the bank last December.
Through my experience, and have some financial wherewithal, I would rather invest in something that I control as opposed to stock market or something else.
That's Art Gardenswartz. You might remember his family business, Gardenswartz Sports, from back in the 80s. He had a stake in the Alameda West shopping center, but he pulled his business for a better spot just down the road, one with better visibility and without the gas pipe eyesore out front. The shopping center went into foreclosure and was bank-owned for years. Last December, though, all that changed. Gardenswartz bought the shopping center from the bank and began investing, revamping the center's retail space and landscape.
I know you find a good tenant, you get their rent, and you have to spend the money. So in other words, I saw right away that if you could do that, you could bring the tenants back.
Gardenswartz has already taken a chunk out of that vacancy rate. It's down to 20%, and he hopes to have it at 0 by the end of the year. Back to you.
Interesting, Catherine. Thanks. We're going to tell you how these new businesses are faring and what you can expect coming up in our next half hour.
We turn now to this. New this morning, the wildfire in Washington state is now 10% contained. That was as of last night. Take a look at this video over here. Very terrifying shots. This is a blaze sparked Sunday, which has been fueled by high temps and very strong winds there. Officials there say a brief rainstorm brought some help to fire crews, which has forced at least 1,000 residents to evacuate their homes. At least 24 homes have been destroyed by this.
Newly released video shows the scene of a highway crash in South Carolina last month. This is dash cam video from first responders rushing up to the scene. The South Carolina Highway Patrol says more than 10 vehicles were involved, including a tanker truck carrying thousands of gallons of fuel. Several people were taken to the hospital with injuries. Look at that flame there.
Terrifying. Okay, so Walmart is apologizing after a worker at one of their stores designed a cake featuring the ISIS flag. A Louisiana man says a Walmart store denied his request to order a cake with a Confederate flag image. The next day, he asked for a design featuring the jihadist black flag, and it was made.
So Walmart, can you please explain why you are alienating Southern Americans with this trash that you allow to be sold in your store?
So clearly he just wanted to prove a point there. In a statement, Walmart said, quote, "It's unfortunate that one customer sought to take advantage of an associate who did not know the flag or its meaning. This cake should not have been made," end quote. Walmart said it would no longer sell products featuring the Confederate flag in the wake of the Charleston church shooting. And a lot of people are doing that. A lot of businesses are pulling Confederate flag items from their shelves.
Big national discussion right now, that flag. See you then, Kristen. Meantime, breaking overnight, video just into our newsroom shows the scene of a deadly shooting in Albuquerque in the overnight hours. Police say one person is dead, another is in the hospital with a gunshot injury. That shooting happened just after 11:30 last night at the Motel 6 at Iliff and Coors in northwest Albuquerque. Details from police are limited, but we do know it's the shooting suspect who died.
Detectives are working with talking to people in the area that may have seen or heard anything that occurred during the time.
Haven't pinned down a motive yet. We'll continue to update this information as it becomes available in our newsroom.
We turn now to this. Albuquerque's Chamber of Commerce is reacting to a new proposal from the president, which could mean higher pay for tens of thousands of New Mexicans. An estimated 20,000 people in our state could soon become eligible for overtime pay. The proposal guarantees people making up to $50,000 overtime pay. Right now, federal rules only guarantee overtime pay to workers making up to about $23,000 a year. Critics aren't buying it, though. The Chamber of Commerce says the change could force business owners to cut jobs, hours, and even benefits.
Their goal is to be fair to their employees, who they value greatly, and to also make enough money to pay them and make enough money to have a profit.
The new rule is set to take effect sometime next year. Republicans say they will try to fight it.
Happening today, new laws are scheduled to go into effect in our state. Here are the facts. One of them, a new law that adds criminal charges for what's called revenge porn. It makes it illegal to send out sensitive private messages to the public without the sender's permission. Other laws include online wine sales, city museums and golf courses can now have liquor sales, and cell phone companies must send you a free text message if there's an Amber Alert in your area.
We turn to this morning. A woman who admitted to shooting a man is free.
As Crystal was saying, a woman who admitted to shooting a man is free. This after the jury acquitted her. Amanda Jo Lucero was facing a first-degree murder charge for shooting Andrew Anderson 2 years ago in Rio Rancho. Her attorney argued self-defense, saying that she had no other choice but to shoot Anderson when he threatened Lucero and her cousin with rocks and a pair of scissors. The jury agreed and found her not guilty.
Moving on to some overnight breaking news in South Carolina, where the FBI is now joining the investigation into another black church fire.
And right now, officials have confirmed or have not confirmed that they are investigating that fire as a hate crime. It happened late last night as flames tore through the Mount Zion African Methodist Episcopal Church. The brick building still stands, but the roof collapsed into the church. Flames have pretty much gutted the inside.
The fire has been contained right now. They are in investigation mode.
This isn't the first time for Mount Zion AME. The church's last building burned down in 1995. The ATF called it arson carried out by members of the KKK. A year later, then President Bill Clinton would speak at the new building's dedication, the building that burned last night. This makes the 6th church burning in 2 weeks since the shooting massacre at Emmanuel AME in Charleston. 2 are being investigated as arson. So far, none of these fires have been linked. The town of Durango is teaming up right now to help one of their own rebuild a Nepalese village after April's devastating earthquake there. Nearly 9,000 people were killed. Tens of thousands were left homeless. Karma Bodia, the owner of the Himalayan Kitchen, was visiting family when the quakes hit. And now with the help of the community, he's been able to raise more than $22,000 to rebuild homes in a remote area near Kathmandu.
This is amazing, and even I don't know how to express by word, and our community is so supportive.
Bhotia says some locals have tried to travel to Nepal to help, bringing medical supplies and food to the area. It's the place the Nepalese government has had a hard time accessing itself.
If you fly JetBlue, get ready to pay to check a bag. The airline new charge of $25 per bag went into effect Tuesday. Now Southwest Airlines is the only major U.S. carrier that does not have a baggage fee. That makes a lot of people upset this morning. Okay, turn out to this. In a shopping area that draws people from across the region, one center sticks out like a big sore thumb.
Alameda West, across from the Cottonwood Mall, has been plagued with problems for years, from ugly pipes out front to the high vacancy rate. But all of that is changing now with the help of a longtime investor. News 13's Catherine Mazzone has that information. Catherine?
That's right, Adam. Businessman Art Gardenswartz bought Alameda West last December, and already vacancy is down 10%. Most recently, he's welcomed We Rock the Spectrum Kids Gym and Bahama Bucks.
When this became available, we kind of jumped on it.
Richard and Martha Hall own the Bahama Bucks across from Cottonwood Mall. They've always liked the space, but knew the center had problems. It's something they discussed at length before leasing the space. But the same month Bucks got the keys to the new place, both of their neighbors closed up shop. It hasn't seemed to affect the Hall's business, though. It was the #2 Bahama Bucks in the country for the month of May, and it wasn't even open for the first 4 days of the month.
It's just overwhelming to us. We have absolutely been just overwhelmed by the amount of people that want to come see us, and we're very grateful for that.
Longtime business Other Mothers has also seen a boom. Problems with their small store had them looking elsewhere, but Gardenswartz put up a fight, offering the business a new, bigger home. Now owners say the location sometimes fares even better than their top-grossing store in the nation. Both businesses say they're confident the shopping center can only get better as long as Gardenswartz has a stake. Back to you.
Catherine, thanks. Gardenswartz says he wants to bring in a national health service group, too. A store like Marshall's and a few more restaurants, maybe even a breakfast shop. We'll stay on top of that.
Pretty cool.
It's an American tradition, fireworks painting the sky for the 4th of July.
Yeah, but for some, the sound can trigger symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. The 4th can be one of the most traumatizing days of the year for many veterans who fought overseas. The memory has followed them home. Most have therapy dogs to help them with PTSD day to day, but for those veterans, the 4th of July can be a dangerous trigger, mentally bringing them back to a war zone. Some experts say there is something you can do, and that's let those in their neighborhood know that you're going to be lighting fireworks. If you plan on doing this, maybe you know somebody, maybe you know a veteran that lives next to you. Let them know what you're going to do.
Just be safe. New video this morning shows a dramatic water rescue after a teenager and a boy became stranded on some rocks in the fast-flowing river in Maine. That rescue was caught on camera by a drone. Here it is from the top. Crews threw a rope out to the pair, connecting them to their rescue boat and getting them out of the water eventually. Neither of them was hurt, but officials do hope this serves as a reminder to stay away from dangerous water.
Exactly, and a lot of people, they think it's not moving that fast. I can handle it, and once you're in, it takes you.
I know it sure does look like you can.